I'm Rob. I'm from Japan, and I'm the moderator of this session. We have 8 presentations to get through in 75 minutes. Mathematically, that works out to 8 minutes times 8 is 64, with 11 minutes left over. Okay, so we'd like people to speak for 8 minutes. I'm going to keep time. I'll flag you 1 minute before the 8 minutes is up, and then while the next person is changing over, then you can have questions and answers, okay? So with that, I'd like to introduce our first presenter, Eric Dwyer, who's speaking on vocabulary in reading studies. VEERS, well, very masculine. A mobile app promoting kids' efficient lexical, it's cut off on my paper.
That's okay, I'll do it.
Okay.
Get out of my way. Hi, everybody. My name is Eric Dwyer. I'm here representing Sayed Jafar Ehsanzadeh Surati, who helped me. Which one do I use? This one? To move it? Okay. I'm here representing Ehsan, who's also known as Sayed Jafar Ehsanzadeh Surati. He's a doctoral student at FIU in Miami, and we created an app called Vocabulary and Reading Study, which is part of his doctoral study. I'll present these my contact information again at the end of the presentation. To get you started, this is a downloadable app by mobile or tablet using the App Store or Google Play. To get there, you can type in Vocabulary and Reading Study, or you can also click on the direct links at our website. And the website is myverse.com, myvirs.com. So there are links there. You'll still be able to see the downloads at the top. Here's what the website looks like. If you look here, you can see the home page. And on the home page, we see that this is what you will see when you open up the app. Now, what I'm going to try to do is offer some ways, some reasons, some little, like 1 minute of research about why we are doing what we are doing. The app was created as a result of research on K-12 textbook vocabulary. So here, imagine this. You're teaching, and you've got somewhere between kindergarten and 12th grade, you have one type of content area, social studies, math, science, or language arts, and you've got a pacing guide, and you've got a lot of work to do. If you're a trained ESL professional, you also know that you need to teach vocabulary first. A lot of people don't do that. Why? They don't have time. And if you have to choose vocabulary, you don't have time. So the idea here is to make something that quickly will be choosable for vocabulary, or even you can teach students to learn the vocabulary. The reason why, English language learners have to learn to read fast, and the teachers have no time. To do that, we calculated 122 textbooks and downloaded a corpus of 10 million words. To do that, we finally decided, with these 10 million words, let's have the goal of having students choose the most frequently used vocabulary from those textbooks. To do that, efficient reading equals comprehension, meaning the understanding of 95% of all the vocabulary. That is our goal, and there's the books that got us to our 10 million piece corpus. By doing that, we figured out what the high frequency vocabulary word, any time it showed up 100 times, and that represented 91% of the corpus. And then we found academic words that show up in 3 of the 4 content areas that were lower frequency. Therefore, we got up to the threshold of 95%. Therefore, if you learn these 4,173 words, you've got a fighting chance at helping students conquer the vocabulary in these textbooks. So now we have our app. If you've had the chance, this is VERSE. It's Vocabulary and Reading Study, and that's what it looks like on your home page or on the home page of either the app or the mobile app or the web page. Let's try a few things here. If you want, in general, you can download anything you want just by going to upload text. You can even type in the text. But for our purposes today, I want to start downloading a PDF file. The PDF file represents something from where we got a lot of our textbooks in California, which is the ck12.org website. A lot of STEM stuff comes from that website. So if you want, you can try and download this document, which is on cell biology from this website. You can go to my website, which is ericsdwyer.info/cells.pdf. you may have to save it or export it as a PDF in order to use that. I will keep this information on top so you can still do it, and I will give you the download for the entire PowerPoint at the end. So, saying that, you can click on Upload PDF. If you click on Upload PDF, then you find that you can choose a file, and that file will be cells.pdf. If you find cells.pdf, which is, comes from this website that I noted below, we see, okay, go ahead and download it. You can see then that you can enhance the, enhance the text. What am I doing here? We are highlighting by color coding the words based on frequency. By doing that, we now see which words are the highest frequency, those that appear in that corpus of 90%. Okay, so if we do that, all of a sudden, there you go. So here's our text from the cell biology textbook. And you see there's a lot of blue. Why? The high frequency words happen a lot. Well, this is good news. If you teach those words, or if the students happen to know them, you're in pretty good shape. All right? But you'll also see that there are also some words there's some words that are academic vocabulary, and these are key. These are the words that are of school, tests, and university. And so we totally want to get those taught. Let's make certain we get those taught. All right? So those are highlighted in yellow. Now also, in the upper right-hand corner of this page, you'll see a small pie chart and possibly the word statistics if you have the website or the iPad. And if you click on that, you can see that we know that it's an intermediate text, intermediate level text, and we can circle the frequency that those words show up. We see in this case the high frequency shows up only 85% of the time, therefore we know that's still a little bit difficult. We're not at the 95% threshold. We do know, though, at the bottom that we have names and off-list words, words that didn't show up in our corpus at all. Those could possibly be important in order to understand the text. Therefore, we could study those and keep those in line, at least for the purpose of getting through the lesson. If you do that, we can also do a phonics text. So I just took you through sort of a high school cell biology text. Now let's see what happens at the kindergarten level. If we go to the kindergarten level, we can click on Upload Doc. In this case, the Upload Doc comes from a phonics text developed by a woman who has a website called Measured Mom. Measured Mom is all about phonics. Now, I hate phonics, so I'm happy to show you why. Here's what's going on. In this case, we're looking at UNK words. Why are we looking at UNK words? Because they go UNK. Now, with that said, you can download this document. On the UNK words, you can go to the blue square, hit that, choose a file, which is measuredmom-unkwords.doc, and lo and behold, there it is. You do the same thing again. Upload your document and hit Enhanced Text. When you hit Enhanced Text, here's what happens in the phonics file. Da-da-dum, poof. Again, lots of blue words, but notice what happens. It's sort of weird. There are your phonics words. And what happens with the phonics words? They happen to be medium frequency, red, low frequency, green, or off list. All right? So if we do that, then we see we have the statistics that are like this. So we now know that we're not doing that. Well, there is one problem, so stay tuned with the app, because what we're going to do next is parse it for K1 and K2 words. We're going to take that high frequency and divide it up more so that you even have a better idea of which words to learn first. And that should cover, along with academic words and STEM words, 97.24% of all the vocabulary in our corpus, thereby hopefully enhancing the folks. If you can learn those 2,661 words, that should help you get through your textbooks. And that is my presentation. Thank you very much. The download for this is my website. It's ericsdwyer.info/virs.pptx. Let me get that. Yeah, here we go. We'll do that. You can also send me an email and I'll send it to you.
speaker, Ludet Agura, extending the classroom with WeChat.
Is this the one that moves the mic? Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Ludet. I am a Center Education Manager in Fuzhou, China. And today I'm going to be talking about WeChat, which is the most popular app that we have in China because we don't really have access to any of those other apps like WhatsApp and things like that. For those of you who don't know, WeChat is a messaging and calling app, and it allows you to contact your friends, your colleagues, and your family all over the world. You can use it to text, voice and video call. We have Moments, which is similar to our version of Facebook, photo sharing, and there are games attached as well to our WeChat. Now, it was created by Tencent in 2011, and about each month over 1 billion users utilize it, and a little over 900 million people use it daily. An interesting fact about it is that a lot of adults in China, about 95% of adults over the age of 40 utilize this app. So since I do teach adult learners and we do have a blended program, sometimes it's easier to contact them through WeChat and have them use our online system. Now, it's everywhere because of all of the features that it has. You cannot live without WeChat in China. You pay for everything, such as your rent, your phone. You can buy movie tickets and things like that. When you look at this screen, you can see Moments there is, like I said, like our Facebook. And you scan QR codes everywhere. You see it in advertisings, and I even use it to help me translate because my Chinese is very bad, but it helps me translate things. And there's also the shake function, which I will explain how we use that with our students. Here is just an example of what you see in your chats. These are a variety of different chats, official accounts from my company, which is EF, and also there's personal chats as well as huge group chats. There are two kinds of accounts that you can have with WeChat. There's the official accounts, and then there are the personal ones. Now, with the official accounts, you do need a business license. I do have a printout that shows you that goes over the different kinds of accounts you can have. But with these, it's similar to like a mini blog. You can post. Here, we created a video for our students about English versus UK vocabulary. For that, you need to use Youku. We don't have YouTube in China, so we linked that to our Youku video for our students. You can create like little book clubs. My school has a book club for our students where we do extensive reading that we don't have time for inside the classroom. So this is just an example of one of the things that we do with our students outside. Now, to create the groups, you just need to add new chat, and you need at least one other person in your chat. And so you just click OK. And here you have, you can change the group name to whatever you'd like. The students or yourself can add others if you are already contacts and friends. But you can also post a QR code of anybody who's interested in joining the chat or the group that you are a part of. So if the group gets too big or you want to moderate who comes into the group, you can verify invitations. I would definitely recommend when you first create these groups that you mute notifications. This morning I was woken up at 3 a.m. by people who added me into a group chat, and they just kept on texting, not realizing that there's a 12-hour difference between here and China. So please mute your notifications. When you receive the new chats, they do come on top, but you can stick it on top, like here, food night, that's my teacher's food group. But you can stick it on top so that it doesn't move down all of your chats. Now, WeChat groups, you can do a lot of things with them. So, for example, here, during one of our trainings, our trainers posted the PowerPoint as well as the post task in a document. So you can add PPTs, you can add Word documents and instructions into the group chats that you're in. You can also add photos. So here's an example of teachers that are sharing their resources of what they've created in the classroom so that everyone all over China can see what is available for them. Here, this is a group where another feature of WeChat is you can have voice conference calls. So about 4 of us got together to have a voice conference call. You can also have the video call as well. Now, with the group chats, teachers often have a group for their students, and we do weekly challenges. So these are just an example of 8 activities that you can do with the WeChat groups. One is called Song Challenge. On the WeChat, there is a function to shake. So if you hear a song in English outside, you can shake your phone, and it will tell you what is the song. They've changed it now to a video function, so I'm not sure if the video will pop up, but those are just new things I noticed today while I was going over my WeChat. The other one is, as I said, teachers can post a recording of the phrase. There is the voice recording function as well in WeChat, and students will record themselves, and they can also type up example sentences based on like the idiomatic expression that you give them. Another activity is the picture challenge. Teachers choose a theme, can be about family or happiness, and the students share pictures that they see throughout the week about how that word or that expression is representative for them. Do as I say, a teacher or student records using the voice function and sends the instructions for a set of actions, and then the students have to record themselves following those actions to demonstrate understanding. So you can, I believe the videos can be as long as 2 minutes on WeChat. So another one is the tour guide. Students make a short video about places in their community. There's, of course, the emoji sticker stories. One person shows the emojis and you try to interpret what it means. Odd one out. And then we also have acting challenge, where we give the scripts to the students and they will act out usually using the transcript we also give them so that they can show to the rest of their classmates what they're doing. Now, one thing about WeChat is that everybody uses it, but not all teachers are comfortable with sharing their WeChat with others. So another thing that we do is that we post challenges around the schools. And so, for example, this is an example of a pronunciation challenge where we give instructions about what they can do, and they try to find English partners within the schools. They can ask the teachers to help them, or they have little badges like, I need a partner for the week. And as they go through these challenges at the end of the month, the teacher will review what they've learned. But that is just some of the things that you can do with WeChat. Thank you.
I'm Colin Blair. We're both teachers in Michigan. I teach for adult ed in the Lansing School District.
I'm Laura Ram, and I teach in an IEP, an EAP, ITA program at Michigan State University.
Okay, we're here to talk about Busu. First of all, full disclosure, we do not work for Busu. We just like it as teachers. Yesterday we were doing one on Play Pause It, and there was someone in our audience who was a little skeptical, kind of looking at us squinty-eyed. And after about 5 minutes, he realized that we were just, you know, lovers, teachers, lovers of this app, and so we're here to talk about it. That's all. So Busu, tell us about it, Laura.
Thanks. That's lovers of the app, by the way.
.com.
So Busu is this wonderful manageable practice system. It's in an app. Students can sign up for an account and they get to practice the language. So obviously we have English language learners. They sign up to practice English, and Busu as an app is going to give them a lot of practice with vocabulary and grammar, conversation. So it's really working with all of the skills.
Yes, and it's gradually builds conversation skills. It's very intuitive. It starts very slowly. It works all 4 major skills plus vocabulary, so it's very natural and easygoing.
And what we really like about it is that it's building independent study skills for our students and computer literacy.
And the different levels, it's ideal for the true beginner. I teach a lot of refugees, a lot of people with limited educational backgrounds, so it's really great for those who, you know, don't know how to study on their own. They need a teacher to kind of hold their hand. You can kind of, you know, help them download it and then send them off on their own. They can do it on the computer in class. Everyone can have their own account. But it's ideal for true beginners, but really up to high intermediate. She teaches in a higher education setting, and it can work for that group of students also.
Absolutely, and I tried it myself. Busu recognized that my phone was in English or that I was in the United States. So it said, oh, it looks like you already know English, and it gave me a placement test. So I went ahead and I threw the placement test because I recognized some of the grammar and I consistently failed at that grammar point, like perfect. And then it placed me at B2. I noticed from the series of lessons that were coming that I could have placed it C1 or C2. So it had a lot of lessons for whatever level you were at, and Colin has been doing A1.
I have. My affective filter is very low today. I'm feeling very relaxed, but I just don't test well usually. Okay, so this is all the different features it has. Some of these are on the paid version. We're going to generally be talking about the free version, but we'll come back to this slide at the end. But the complete English, the one at the top, that's the one that you're going to get pretty much all of its bells and whistles on the free version. And these others, they'll let you try it once to entice you and make you want to upgrade. And again, we'll come back. So, vocabulary. You want to tell us about that, Ms. Laura?
Oh, sure. So with the vocabulary, you get to read, hear, say new words. It connects to the microphone. Sometimes it asks you for that. Sometimes it asks you to type in your response, like a gap filling. So it gives a great variety of practice with vocabulary. So it's more than flashcards, and that's what I really love about it. It's all of the interactive practice.
Yeah, you get a lot of these language apps that's just flashcards, you know, it's flashcards on your phone. And okay, it's good for a little while, but then it gets boring. This integrates all the skills. This alone, this is, again, the A1 level. You've got reading, listening, and then you get to speak it and say it back. And, you know, it judges your accent, so to make sure you're somewhat on par with your articulation. All right. Moving on, slide 3.
Oh yeah, so with grammar or vocabulary for that matter, we want to have a lot of iterations for our students. So if we're going for like 7 to 12 exposures to the target, this is giving that to the students. It's giving them something, they learn it, they practice it, they're going to repeat it a little bit later, they connect it to something else. So it's nice the way that it's structured.
Yeah, it's very simple. They lay it down for you very clearly at first, and then even at the lower levels, beginner sort of levels, it has you match up the grammar. So immediately you can understand the sentence structure, how things work. Don't worry, we're going to drown them out. It's all right. So, you know, we speak German, right? So you get the SVO, the subject, verb, object, and you have to match it up. Other ones that they have, or they have the sentence jumble or question jumble, and you have to put the words in the correct order, put the question mark at the end. So it works very well from the very lower levels. And then, of course, once you get up to the higher B2 level, like Miss Laura, then it gets much more complicated.
Yep, so they'll give me the independent part, and I have to match it with the dependent part. So it's less identification and more putting together a whole sentence.
All right. And it's repetitive. They constantly give you tips. They constantly come back, remind you what the grammar point was that you learned, and then gives you simple examples. You know, boldface, it's just the whole thing's real simple. It's easy to do. If everyone downloads it and picks a language, you know, again, there's 12 different languages, you know, you'll immediately get going on something, and it makes it very simple, and it repeats a lot.
There's all kinds of practice and context, and what we really like about it is the natural conversation. So one of the activities is an actual like text messaging, so it has student 1, student 2, and it's going back and forth in a conversation in a framework that the students already understand, which is a text message. Within that, they'll do some gap filling, some guessing, so the students are then practicing the grammar and vocabulary again in another situation.
So again, it integrates the skills. You know, you're going to sit there, you're going to read it. As you're listening to it, you can play it over and over again, and then you get a chance to type. So it works literacy in multiple ways. Again, when you're teaching students that have very low-level learning skills to begin with, it's a great way to get them going and keep them excited in a simple but gradually harder way. Miss Laura, I have a question.
Sure, what's up?
What are the accents like? Is it only American English?
I am so glad you asked that because it was such a shock to me. All I heard was British accent the whole time, and I freaked out because I thought, how can I tell my students to use this when I want them to have an American accent? And then I got further into the app, and then it mixed it up. We had American accent coming in that dialogue, so it was almost like student A is from one country and student B is from another country. So it gave them exposure to a lot of different things. But you know, Colin, I can see that as a drawback. Because if you wanted one particular accent all the time, you couldn't choose that. But it did help my students see that they were in a bigger community of English language learners all around the world. And all these other people were trying to learn the same thing they were.
Yeah, so in the same dialogue, you'll have British English, American English, and non-native English speaker. We have 1 minute, 1 minute. So this is one of the premium features, conversations. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so with conversations, obviously you can go up to like a premium level and get a lot more with this. And premium, how much is premium?
It depends. If you do 1 month, it'll be about $20, but if you do it for 2 years, you sign that contract for 2 years, then it's like $4 or $5 a month. So it works out pretty well. It's not too bad, really.
Yeah, and a tip. So I just said that we did the free version. It sent me email that said, hey, if you sign up right now for the premium, you get 50% off, but it was a limited time offer, and it really was, because then it went down to 30%. So wait for the coupon.
So with the premium version, you get conversations that you write or speak, send it out, people critique it, send it back to you. You can do the same if your native language is one of the 12. People send you their stuff. And then these other ones down there. You can do New York Times, which is videos actually from the New York Times. You can watch a TV show. You can get English just for travel. They got The Economist down there. So it's good. A lot of different features, not too expensive, but the free version's great. Please enjoy. Any questions? Please send us emails.
We'll see you later, and thanks you guys. That's so awesome. We have a handout and candy. We'll see you later.
Thank you, sir.
Very well scripted. Thank you very much for that. Is the next person Julisse? Yes, you're here. Okay. Whenever you're ready.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to leave it right there.
Where is your which one was it called again?
Awesome. Can we do it like that?
If you want to leave it like that, you can. Yeah. And then you present click and see if you can click this, like that.
I'm Julisse Daijo, and I'm based in São Paulo, Brazil. So today I'd like to talk about the use of free recording apps to help students raise awareness to intonation. Okay. And I'm seeing intonation as the melody that every language has. So, in other words, features of connected speech, weak, strong, short and long vowel sounds, chunking and tone units, pitch level. And because every language has a different music, a different musicality, learners tend to transfer this music from L1 to L2. And it turns out that sometimes it comes out as a beautiful, lovely accent, but sometimes it can lead to misunderstanding or misinterpretation. That's the case of my Brazilian students. They speak Brazilian Portuguese, which tends to be a much flatter language. So it's, compared to English, it's flat. It's flatter. And also, because it's a syllabic language, they tend to stress every word. And in the words of one of my students, they end up sounding like GPS or Stephen Hawking or something very electronic. In this way, I started to experiment with recorders, but recorders that show sound waves. These are the 4 that I've been using. Clear recorder, voice memos, and TW recorder. And this is how the sound waves look like. Hold on just a second. James, my phone disappeared. Okay. No, I'll just go presentation mode. Okay, so the first one is simple, as you can see. The second one, the nice thing is that as you hear yourself, the waves change color. The third one is a bit more high-techy. You can flag chunks of the speech in which you want to work with. And the third one, the free version, you can zoom in very easily, but if you pay for the paid version, you can actually contrast 2 sentences at the same time, or 2 parts of speech at the same time. These are my 2 favorite. Thank you. All right, these are my 2 favorites. The first one because it's very simple, user-friendly, clean in design, and it's easy to duplicate. And when I say duplicate, it's because sometimes you want to keep the original and then trim the part that you want to work on. The second one, it's easy to zoom in and out. There are flags. You can move it to iCloud folder very easily, just on a click, and you can save it directly to Camera Raw. So, question is how I do it, how it goes. I get a sample of the learner, that's A. I zoom in, and I print screen, copy and paste to PowerPoint or Word, and then I do the same but with a fluent speaker sample. And then we contrast both of them. You can see that by adding the script underneath, the learner by himself or through guided questions, he can notice what he's doing in terms of intonation. So first question would be, overall, what do you notice? Second, which parts are flatter? Third, look at the pitch. Which words actually should be higher or stronger or stressed? In terms of connected speech and chunking, the original student would say she is dealing with the problem that she has. So he's chunking in kind of unusual parts. And then he would contrast with a more fluent speaker in which the first whole part is one chunk. She's dealing with the problem that she has by talking by talking with a friend. And then, if you notice, the number of seconds is the same. So I have 4 seconds of speech on top and 4 seconds of speech in the second. And look how much more, more words you have in the second one. So after raising this awareness with the students, and you can do it individually, you can encourage pair work, do it as homework or research. I suggest a few practices. Alternatively, you can give him a checklist, and he can do it by himself and analyze his own speech. You can also provide sentences or chunks, or he can record chunks from TV series, movies, songs, and then he can try to copy the waves. And finally, you can provide the appropriate intonation, and he would have to script and add the text under the waves to see which words are stressed, which vowels are longer. This is a sample of one of my students. We've been working, we worked together for 1 month doing this project. So Vivian, she's a C1 speaker, and when we started, her speech sounded more like this in the first picture on the left. After a month of this work of raising awareness and asking questions and comparing, you can see that the second recording showed a more natural speech with more intonation and closer to English music melody. That's it for today. Thank you. I was going to play it, but then he showed me one.
Next speaker is Brooke Stevens, using Quizlet to read and build fluency. You ready to go?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Hi, my name is Brooke Stevens, and I teach 4th through 8th grade. I also in public and private schools, and I have public 2 classes, and then we're working with teachers in South America to help them teach English through story. And so we've developed this to help them learn as they go. So if you go to the Quizlet app, you can download it free, or you could just in your browser go to Quizlet.com, and you can search up my sets that you can look at after the presentation by typing in TESOL Atlanta, and you will see this presentation on there with all the information, and then also you will see the sets that I've included in different languages. It's always good to study the story in different languages so you as a teacher can identify with where they are. This set is for beginners that we're looking at. So, I love Quizlet. That's where these stories are. Quizlet is awesome because it has the audio and the visual and the games that go with it. So when you add story into the mix, which is what we've done, it's even easier to acquire vocabulary because it's in context. So this is by Krashen. More about story. Graphic novel or illustrations add comprehensibility and engagement. And then you take it with Quizlet, which is individualized and also interactive, and you've got something that can really work in a classroom. The only thing is I don't let really use this in my classroom. I give it to my students before, because really to build language skills, it'd be nice to have at least 3 hours a week. Well, I don't get that. So I say, hey, take this app, take this, and read your story every day. Have your mom give you your phone. They're elementary students. And read the story and play some games on the way on the phone. And it really helps increase to have that daily dose. Or if they miss class, they have a way to follow up. It's important that your stories are comprehensible and built for language learners. So our stories were written by leaders and publishers in our field, in TPRS and CI. And so we have Carol's story. Hers are the first 8 stories in our 24 illustrated stories for language learners. Bryce's stories, he has the next 4. He uses high-frequency vocabulary engagingly and in repetition. We have Virginia, one of my friends. She's working on the South American project with me, and she's very, very precise with her words. And Jennifer, we have her stories in there. She's very prolific. These are excerpts from their books that you can buy in English from Amazon. So your students get a dose of it. They feel like they can read, because one of the problems is, I can't read, I don't know how to read, especially for beginners. When you show them that they can, and then they do that first step, they can start reading those books. So how do students use it? Like I said, it's at the beginning of every day for about 10 minutes, and then I'll show you how we're going to do it in class. The teachers in South America that we're working with, they are 5th grade teachers. They teach every subject, and then they say, hey, go and teach English for 1 hour. And that's all they get, but they've never been trained in how to teach English. So we're teaching them to take these sets before they go, and they read the story. We also have the yes or no questions, the short answer questions, so they can learn how to form those and ask those in their classes as they're building fluency with their students, because a lot of the times they didn't feel confident. One of the great ways that we do it is with Quizlet Live, and I would love to play it with you. All you have to do is go to quizlet.com/live or / and put in this number, and we can all do the readings. How it works is there's one picture and there's 4 options that you can choose from. The whole key is to get them to read it over and over in an engaging way. They're acquiring vocabulary and they're acquiring grammar. These are just the sets you can look at that they have in there. So I'm going to show it to you now. So when I give it to my students, I say, let's go do vocabulary. And if you see it right here, you can listen to it. That it's not synced, but they push this little doodad microphone thing, and they can hear it. And then I teach them, try and figure out what this says. The microphone's at the bottom again, so they can listen, and they see if they get it right. And it has the picture, so if you are in an ESL class where there's many different languages, this works for them too. So after they do that, this is how I use it in class. I'll say, oh, and it's individualized. It's awesome because it learns what you learn and you can go back and study it. So when they come to class after they're supposed to do vocabulary, I want to do a quick test with them. So I'll choose 5 questions, and I usually do true and false. This is for accountability, and it's also to build confidence. Oh yeah, I know what that word means. And I say, because this is how I teach. I have a cart with a projector, and I plug in my phone exactly like this. And because I go from class to class. So I say, I'm always going to press true just to advance the screen, but that's not the right answer, and then you go through it afterwards, and they're like, oh, I got this right. They're writing the answers true or false, 1 through 5. And it's just a quick review at the beginning of class. So then, after they've done the review, they've studied. And I actually had one of my students, he felt like he wasn't learning anything, but he started doing this, and he moved to the front of the class, and he wanted to answer the questions, because it built his confidence. He could do it at home. When I go to class, I highlight the image. And this is what I call springboarding. You take the image, which is fabulous for teachers, because if you have a whole story, as a teacher, you have to say, okay, what am I going to highlight? What am I going to teach so they understand this? The images break it down. And this, I'm going to teach the word girl. But I want to use it as much as I can in class. So I will ask them, how many girls are in this class, how many girls are in your family, at what age is a girl a woman, how many girls are on the football team, should there be girls on the football team. So as a teacher, you can expand this to make your class communicate. And so I do that with each of the words, with the ones that I think are important. But these images are really springboarding for conversation in the class. So these are the yes or no questions for teachers who need the practice. And then the last one is story. And this is when I take the image and I do a parallel story. I will invite a girl up to the class. All of these stories can be reenacted in the class because when it's about your students, then they're interested. And so I bring a girl up and I say, hey, what's your name? Where are you from? What kind of thing do you like to drink? And I can compare and contrast. Does she like to drink coffee? No. Does she like to drink tea? What do you like to drink? And they all want to know because you bring it to them. So the other thing we do is the matching game. I tell my students I will touch this and I'll say the first student will always take the longest because everyone's learning. Everybody has to read all of those sentences. And then they touch it and they tell me which one to read. They read it to me. And it's awesome because they're reading over and over again. And the last thing is with the flashcards, we play charades and Pictionary. I will show them the words, and after that, we see the picture and they see if they can retell it. So that's bringing it in the levels. So thank you.
Anytime you're ready, the topic is flipping the Flipgrid. It's like Snapchat, but for homework.
Hi there, how y'all doing? Good? Yeah, how many of you currently use Flipgrid? Who has no idea what Flipgrid is? Awesome. All right, you don't know what it is yet. Okay, Flipgrid, just so you know, is a video chatting program that allows basically students to, instead of text messaging each other, right, instead of chatting via text message, you chat by shooting videos back and forth. And it gathers that in a very interesting way. It is a tool that was originally a freemium where you would pay more, to get better features, and then Microsoft bought it and gave it away to teachers for free. And so it's really a robust tool, and I'm going to share some of it with you. This is an example. Let me make this a little bigger here. See that okay? If you're on a computer screen or on your phone or whatever, this is what you would see when you'd entered a grid. Basically, you're looking at all the students in your class, and then you'll notice with each picture, there's small little circles. Think of that as like a threaded discussion where a person is actually talking in a video, and then the smaller little circles are people who've responded to the video with their own videos. And so it's like a threaded video discussion forum. And that's what makes it kind of neat. All students do is if they're on their laptop, they click on that plus button, it turns on their camera, it turns on their equipment, it allows them to start recording right there. If they're on their smartphone, it's the exact same thing. They click on the plus button, it turns on their smartphone camera, it starts recording them. They can record themselves just by looking right at the phone. They could turn their phone around and actually stand up at the board and record themselves while they're writing on the board or teaching other things. And so it's a really easy, fun, engaging kind of tool. When I first started using it with the students, I started to do some surveys to ask my students what they thought about it, those kinds of questions. And the most common response I got, which you guys have already heard, is that it's like Snapchat, but it's for homework. Which is kind of interesting, is because students are Snapchatting all the time in my college classes, but to them, this is like Snapchat, but it's for homework. So I was able to kind of use their common knowledge for using video discussions like this and then bring it into my class. And then what happened is I was giving them weekly assignments where they would analyze a reading, or they would look up something, or they would try to research something they have to report in. And then one week I didn't give a Flipgrid assignment, and my students basically went nuts. They're like, where's the Flipgrid assignment? They were like, how dare you not assign us a Flipgrid assignment? They loved it. And so that's when I knew I had something that was powerful. And so I started then looking for app smashing. Any fans of app smashing? Who has no idea what app smashing is? Yet. Okay, so let's say you take an app like Flipgrid and you take another app like a screencasting tool. Can you make a screencast where you record your computer screen and then upload that to Flipgrid? Answer is yes. Some people like using green screen. You guys know what green screen is? Where you record in a green screen and you can put yourself into any environment anywhere in the world. Well, could you record on a green screen and then upload that to Flipgrid? The answer is yes. Right? And so there's lots of things. How many of you use Face Swap or Face Swap Live or things like that, where you basically overlay somebody's face on top of your face and then talk as them? Have you ever seen that done? Well, can you record that and then upload that to Flipgrid? You bet. And so what this is this tool allows for that. And this website, just so you know, this is the teachertricks.org. You just type in teacher tricks in Google and you'll get right to it. And everything I'm sharing, I did a workshop the other day over in the EV, and this is the same page I had there. It was a little bit longer than the 8 minutes that I have right now, but basically it shared these same concepts with some ideas. And this website is hot. You can click on the links and go in and watch videos, and there's video training. Anything you could possibly want to learn about Flipgrid is here. I've curated it for you. This is actually a video of my students saying things like, it's like Snapchat for homework. But let me show you what it looks like. So I created a Flipgrid for TESOL, and if you're interested, you could download the Flipgrid app right now, and it'll ask you join the Flipgrid, and you could just type in TESOL 2019, and you could go on. And if you did, I created two Flipgrids. One is open. It's wide open. Anybody can post to it, and anybody can see what other people are posting. The other is known as moderated, and what that means is you can post there, but only I will see your posts. Now that's beautiful for things like office hours. In all of my classes, I have a Flipgrid that's moderated, so my students simply pull out their phone. No matter where they are, they can ask me a question, and it comes in as a video discussion to me. I can then asynchronously respond. So if they're doing homework at 2 a.m., they can send in a question. The next morning, I can upload their video, look at it, watch it, and respond to them. And so that moderated is great, especially if you have like parent-teacher conferences or those kinds of things. You can actually use a moderated Flipgrid to keep things private. I'm going to click into the one that's open so you guys can see. And so what you see here is some different grids that I've made just to demonstrate how a Flipgrid could be used, some of the strategies. And this first one, I hope it'll play here.
87 years ago, I learned how to use Flipgrid
now,
to give.
I don't know if you can hear that, but that's me talking. The mouth is actually moving. And why give a presentation or tell a story about Abraham Lincoln when you can give a presentation as Abraham Lincoln? Does that make sense? You can face swap yourself.
You all can say hello, right? And we're recording a video, and
And so what's happening is these are all different examples of Flipgrids. This one is a mashup. Like I said, it's a mashup with a face swap. This is a mashup with green screen.
I like to use Flipgrid with green.
And basically, it's just me talking, and it looks like I'm at Mount Rushmore, but technically I'm across the street in my hotel room. You'll see here in a second that it cuts away. I just took this green sheet.
I'm recording from my hotel room, but
took the green sheet and basically made it so that students can go anywhere or do just about anything.
I like to
this
use
is a teach
Flipgrid
back.
for teach backs. For example, maybe I taught.
One of the things I find is if I'm teaching something complicated, something the students have to go up to the board and do, or go up to the board and try, or on paper and try, I can actually teach them in class, and then after class send them home and have them teach it back to me. I love doing a classroom assessment technique in that sense. I call it teach me, ask me, where they actually either have to teach me back something or they have to ask me something about what they did. But rather than putting it in text form, why not allow them to practice their listening speaking skills and shoot it to me in a video? It kind of uses their underlying. This is actually teaching the 11 times trick. Did you guys learn that trick in math class? Where are my math people? You got, what's 11 times 22? 11 times 2. What's 11 times 8? Okay, 11 times 23. Well, what's 2 plus 3? Okay, so you put the 5 in the middle, 253, that's what it is. 11 times 21, well, what's 2 plus 1? So 11 times 21 would be 231. It's a math trick, but once I teach students that, I can send them, I can teach them anything, and they can just pull out their phones and teach me back. And so they go up to boards, they work together in teams. Your phones, if you have a smartphone, You can make any kind of video. You can use movie apps, anything you want to use, and you can upload it to Flipgrid, and then as a teacher, you're basically curating all of the students' content in an easy way where you can share it. You can actually make mixtapes. You'd actually say, I want to take these 4 videos from these students and make a mixtape and then share it with the class. It's a really neat tool, and it's completely free. And so I've got about 14 seconds. If you're interested, just go to Teacher Tricks, and here's all the tricks, and here's 10 ideas for how you can use Flipgrid. There's links and explanations. If you have any questions, my name's James May. Please ask me. Thank you.
You ready? You ready to go?
Yep.
All right. There will be a little time for questions and answers, so hang around.
Okay, so inspired from our previous speaker, so who here knows what Bitmoji is? All right, so we're about half and half. So today I'm going to quickly explain what the app is and then how you can use it in your language classroom. So to begin with, my name is Amy Russo. I'm from San Jose State University. I work with adult language learners who are from kind of intermediate, mid to advanced high. And what and why Bitmoji? So Bitmoji started in 2016. It's used by over 70 million people around the world for both Apple and Android, and it's present in 75 different countries. So Bitmoji is used to make personalized avatars, and they can be made for people of all ethnic varieties, of all ages. And they do this through having really highly customizable features when they set up. So they have like more than 100 different hairstyles. They have eye colors, shapes, tones, facial spacing. They have different body types. And they have different clothing sets, so you can really customize it to how it looks like. And in general, these emojis are powerful because they can be highly customized to look like yourself, and they're also more expressive than standard emoji. So they're fun to use. They have more than 300 distinct scenes to express different things that you want to get at. Bitmojis also cross platforms. You can find them on all the apps that your students are likely to use. Of course, you can use them in text messages, in Facebook, even LinkedIn and Slack, but also you'll find them in WeChat, WhatsApp, and Line, which many of our students will be very interested in using. Yes, that is true. But one thing to note that they don't readily transfer. You do have to install sometimes special keyboards. So for example, I installed G Keyboard on my Android device. So you click on the first little emoji right there, and then it'll bring up the grid. So I do have these videos embedded in my presentation to help you with the iOS keyboard and also the G Keyboard for Android devices. So I will have a link to my presentation at the end, so you don't have to be so worried about taking photos now, but I did prepare that for you. So some lesson ideas that you can use with your adult advanced students. You can use them with teens, but if you're going to let them onto the internet, that comes with its own risk, so just keep that in mind. So during emoji creation, you have a chance to teach kind of lower frequency vocabulary. Everyone's going to know, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, but here you're going to be able to talk about, says like foreheads, dimples, chins, clefts, things like this, earlobes. You can also you do a thematic thing about hairstyles, so ponytails, braids, off the shoulder. They have mohawks and baldness, so you have all kinds of things that you wouldn't normally see. And then you can also have an entire lesson on clothing and clothing styles. And there's a lot of free choices. There are also things that you can buy, so they have brands like Abercrombie and Fitch and different things like this. Gucci, if you want to go that direction. So the first activity you do, you could have students make emojis of themselves, and then after they've done that, you can have them write like a standard essay if you want them to describe that, or go into a presentation. Maybe you could use Flipgrid like our previous speaker suggested, where they can kind of talk back to you the process of what did they choose and why did they choose it, which can be fun. I've also had them make avatars of kind of famous people and use them to tell stories using basically only emojis and very few texts. You have a lot of kind of, so this is me. You have a lot of kind of interesting, authentic choices that are really fun to tell stories with. But probably what I think is the most powerful tool is that so this app is made for non-pedagogical reasons, right? So people use this in real life to communicate with friends and family, so part of it is intrinsically valuable. But what it also gets at is you get these examples, colloquial language that you won't think, like live your best life, solid, woot, right? So these are things that they'll either hear or they might want to say. So what you can do, for example, if I take the example of sorry, not sorry, you can say, what does it mean? Where is this used? Who uses this? When is it used? How do they sound? How common is this phrase? Why would you use it at all? And do you personally want to use it? Why or why not? So you can choose how you sound. And it leads into kind of some pragmatic questions, including, so you can kind of guess the meaning from the emoji using the visual cues that it provides, but you can also teach them to search on the internet to find out what it means. For example, you can go to Twitter and search by hashtags. So this is like, no phone calls will be answered after 7:55 because they're watching Grey's Anatomy. Sorry, not sorry. You can search by Instagram. So Sorry, Not Sorry has 12 million posts. And you can also send them to Urban Dictionary, so they can really learn from all these different sources to triangulate what it means. So not only can they learn to do it here in class, but if they come across a phrase they're not familiar with kind of out in the wild, then you have given them tools so they can help understand the world around them. So that's my presentation. This link right here will connect you to my slides. And thank you very much for your time and attention.
Well, thank you very much. You left 2 minutes of your talk, so we have that much more for Q&A. And our final presenter, Kristen Chaperon, interactive video games to teach content areas.
Right.
Yours up here? Is your presentation up here?
Yes.
Which one is it?
So I do have a handout. So my friend over there is going to help pass those out. Can you do it in this presentation? Yeah, there we go. Hi, everyone. I'm the last one, so we're almost done here. Thank you for sticking it out. I wanted to talk today about iCivics. If you haven't heard of us, we are a nonprofit organization that was founded in 2009 by Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, and the mission is to teach civics education to all students through fun and engaging video games. And in 2015, Justice Sotomayor came on board and encouraged us to try to reach even more students, especially English language learners. So we now have 2 games, Do I Have a Right and Immigration Nation, that have supports that are built in, both in and outside of the game for English language learners. And these games also have apps. Do I use this? Uh-oh. How do I get the next slide? Here we go. Okay, here we go. Sorry. Why games? Why iCivics? So game-based learning is a lot of fun, and it's experiential. So in it, students get to be the president. They get to be a Supreme Court justice. They get to run a law firm. And these are things that they're not necessarily doing in real life. So they get to replace their school-based identities with exciting game-based identities. And when they're playing the games, rather than just reading something in a book, they are more likely to remember it because they experienced it. And the teachers get to maximize student learning because they're receiving feedback just in time. They get deep and engaging experiences for the students. And they have individualized instruction because the games are naturally scaffolded. So this is what our App Store looks like. And all of the games plus the resources are free. So if you want to download any of the lesson plans or any of that, you just need to go to our website and create a free teacher account. And otherwise, you can go to the App Store, both Google or the Apple Store. And we suggest that you play on tablets or Chromebooks. It's harder to play on a phone because we have a lot of text. So it's better to play on a slightly bigger screen. So I have a trailer, which I'm hoping, since I have that extra 2 minutes, that I can play, just so that you can see the game in action. Just like movie trailers, we have video game trailers, and you can find those. If you go to YouTube to iCivics, you can see a lot of our games. So I'm going to show you.
This is our new law firm.
Hopefully you can hear it. Hopefully you can hear it.
Clients come to us so we can protect their rights, as found in the amendments to the U.S. Constitution.
So students get to run their own law firm.
I have a right to assemble and call for
change.
change.
Do I have a constitutional right to fly Air Force One?
Do I have a right that the police violate?
Do I have a right to criticize the government in my news blog?
So these are some of the ELL supports that I'll talk about in a second.
Tell anyone who needs help defending their rights. We're officially open for business.
Okay. Sorry, I think the screen got a little bit messed up with the PowerPoint. But anyway, each game offers support for English language learners. You have an option to play in English or Spanish. We have English language voiceover, which is to help audio learners and just so that students can get to hear everything pronounced in the game, and it helps with comprehension. We have an embedded glossary where words from the game, content area words, idioms, other terms that we think merit definition, they can click on the word and it's defined right in the middle of the context of the game. We have embedded and printable content guides for both of these games, which they're visuals, and we have illustrations of all of the amendments that appear in the game. And then for the Immigration Nation, we have this thing called the Harbor Guide, where once again we have illustrations and it's additional support for students. And this can be printed out through our website, or they can access it directly in the game. And then we have other scaffolds, that legal case analyzer tool that they showed in the trailer, that asks questions to the students to help them figure out exactly what we're asking. And so it basically guides them in the direction, but it doesn't give the answer away. And we have this similar tool in Immigration Nation. And then both of these games have extension packs that are WIDA correlated, and they have suggested modifications for English language learners. And again, those are all free and they're downloadable on our site. And I have a question about what's the best way to use learning games in the classroom? For my teachers out there, anyone have a suggestion? E? So actually, there isn't an exact answer. You could use games in any way that you want in your teaching. However, we suggest using them letter C as part of a sequence of activities designed to foster understanding of key content and concepts. So that's what we consider the best answer. And that ties into what we call the game sandwich, because as we said, we want it as part of your teaching. So you would do some activities prior to playing the game, a mini lesson, and then you would play the game, and then we have post-game activities and reflections. So this is all part of our yummy and delicious game sandwich. And then we also suggest that students play in pairs or groups. And this is great, first of all, if you don't have enough devices in your classroom, you can share with a friend. Or it's also just another way for students to talk to each other as they're playing the game and to build up their oral proficiency. And it encourages rich and meaningful dialogue. And they're talking on task, especially if you're teaching, in this case, social studies. And then for parting words, I suggest you create a free teacher account on iCivics. You can download our apps. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter, because at the moment we have 2 video games that have supports for English language learners, but every year we're going to be adding more and more. So if you follow us, you'll find out when new games are out. And then again, we say teach around the games and assign them. And if you do decide to use them, please share them, share your experience on social media, tag us, and we'll retweet you. So again, thank you so much. And that's it. Did you?
Thank you very much, Kristen. We do have, oh dear, only 3 minutes. If you have questions for any of the presenters, please just approach them personally and ask your questions. There's another Mobile Apps for Education session tomorrow from 9:30 a.m. right here. Thank you very much for coming. And thank you for